You've been developing mental images over and over. You close your eyes, experience the emotions, imagine your future self, and then reality remains the same. It may shift momentarily, a quick glance, a minor adjustment, a minor validation, and then you find yourself locked in the same circle, same mental habits, the same situations. If you've ever wondered why your inner vision seems so powerful but fails to manifest, here is the truth. Mental imagery alone does not shape your world. Your energy frequency changes. There is a significant difference between dreaming about tomorrow and truly sending that energy, between visualizing your wishes and converting them into the person who naturally lives that existence in the quantum world. Visualization is simply one element of a much greater jigsaw. The underlying secret to the missing element is in your vibrational state. And if that vibratory state does not match the reality you want to attract, it will always be out of reach. Regardless of how clearly you see it, you've been taught to ask, trust, and accept. But here's what actually happens. The quantum field does not respond to please. It responds to alignment, energetic honesty, and the signal you embody, not the energy you produce during meditation sessions, but the frequency you carry along with your breathing patterns, daily decisions, and emotional states. The cosmos is reading your essential nature, not your words. That is the core principle. And once you understand this concept and realize how delicate this process is, everything begins to alter. Not because you worked harder or thought more positively, but because you gave up. You've stopped pleading. You stopped supporting the notion that your ideal existence was somewhere far away. Instead, you started addressing it as an energized condition. You might immediately enter this energetic condition, which opens the door to the reality you've been imagining. It is not conceptual, it's not vague, it's palpable, vibratory, and has a distinct quality, unwavering confidence and continuous flow. It is unhurried, it does not yearn, it does not question timing, it simply understands. Because when you act from the perspective of someone who has already materialized their desires, the quantum field behaves as expected because it has no choice. So, why does this shift seem so difficult? Why can you imagine something lovely, yet fight to keep the impression that it is actually mine? Because your entire life has prepared you to vibrate at the frequency of someday. You've been taught to wait, to work for merit, prepare to earn your place. And now, possibly for the first time, you're being urged to let go of all that programming and become what formerly seemed like an impossible goal. Initially, it feels weird. It seems like self-deception. However, this is just because your neurological system has not synchronized with your inner truth. Because the frequency we're entering is familiar to your soul. It's simply new to your physical experience. And part of this process entails teaching your body to recognize what your spirit has always known. You are not chasing your destiny. You are rediscovering your natural relationship with it. How do I maintain that frequency while my external environment hasn't changed yet? Here is the answer. You're the first to initiate the change. You decide that energy comes first, followed by physical confirmation. You shift your focus from what is missing to what is present, from what you want to who you are. As you continue to practice this on a daily basis, a different energy emerges. One that does not disintegrate under pressure, one that persists even when life becomes overwhelming. It changes into your new normal, and that's when the quantum field begins to move toward you. Not because you demanded it, but because you eventually agreed with it. This is what this exploration will reveal, not just the concept of manifestation, but the particular frequency that allows you to live the life you've always desired. We'll talk about how to shift from the pattern of scarcity to the vibration of fulfillment, how to embody, as if not pretending, how to approach life as if it were already yours. Not to persuade the cosmos, but because you are finally living in accordance with universal laws, because there is a formula for a particular energy pattern, and you learn how to tune into it. In that case, everything in your surroundings begins to respond naturally, forcefully, and consistently. Are you ready to recall what it's like to energetically match the reality you've always imagined? Then let's begin. Let me clarify something important right now. The quantum field is unconcerned with your wishes. It reflects who you are. It does not evaluate your mood boards. It does not assess your goals or track your positive words. It merely demonstrates the frequency you are emitting. That frequency does not stem from your ambitions. It develops from your sense of self, not the identity you talk about, but the one you have experienced. The one that determines how you enter areas and deal with quiet periods, how you display yourself while nobody is looking. Because in the quantum domain, reality is not something you can acquire. It is something you make from within. So, what does this look like? Practically, it means that if you visualize prosperity yet are concerned about spending, your field will signal anxiety. If you picture love but shun praise or intimacy, your field perceives withdrawal. If you want to grow but talk about your current situation as if you're stuck, your field accepts that narrative, since it does not evaluate your goals. It measures your internal consistency. This explains why many people are disappointed during their manifestation journey. They are following all of the instructions by practicing meditation, maintaining journals, writing scripts, and creating visualizations. However, outcomes remain elusive. Why? Because their mental and emotional states are not aligned. They are seeking to manifest through thought, but their body is still signaling fear, inadequacy, or the survival.
What's the outcome? The quantum field mirrors the confusion caused by contradictory messages.
If this speaks to you, and you're ready to break free from these habits, click the like button and subscribe for more quantum insights that genuinely work. Transformation occurs when your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors all convey the same message. The field must reflect this unity back to you. This is referred to as coherence. And in this state, your frequency becomes consistent, forceful, and appealing. That's when reality begins to reorganize itself. Consider this perspective. Wanting without identity causes turmoil. However, when your identity and desires align, your signal becomes obvious, and the field does not respond to wanting. It responds to knowing. So, how can we embody that knowledge, especially without external validation? You generate the validation internally, not outside. You begin to show yourself as the version who has actually experienced the reality you have been imagining. You stop expecting to feel accomplished and instead start carrying yourself.
Conversing and moving like someone who already is. Not because you're pretending, but because you're recalling your true self, underneath the uncertainty. Neville Goddard characterized it as living from a fulfilled wish. Joe Dispenza refers to it as developing new neural connections in the mind and body. Greg Braden refers to it as heart-brain coherence. But the fundamental idea stays the same. You stop seeking to become that person and instead begin to exist as them. That's the quantum frequency we're investigating. It is not something you pursue. It is something you choose to embody repeatedly until your neurological system adapts, your inner dialogue quits undermining it, and it becomes so instinctive that you can't remember what it was like to vibrate in limitation. Yes, it takes courage, since embracing that version of yourself before external circumstances reflect it can be isolated, confused, and even artificial. Initially, But that's just your old identity striving to keep its place in your energy system. Allow it to exist. Recognize it, but don't allow it to control you. You are the signal. Now you are the reference point. You become the initiator of change rather than the recipient of it. You become the reality. This is not about manufacturing confidence. It's about recognizing the frequency of already existing in and working from that area. It is about training your system to feel secure in the region of sufficiency. Because when your subconscious feels safe, your energy grows. When your energy expands, the field reacts. So, if you've been battling with pushing cycling, abandon that strategy. You aren't here to work harder for your dreams. You're here to acknowledge that the version of yourself who is already living them isn't far. It merely operates at a different frequency, a more stable version, a more embodied version. And that version already knows how to move, talk, make decisions, and feel whole, because they believe it is. Let us go discover them. We've arrived at a concept that most people misunderstand, and it's where true transformation happens. Embodying. As if these three words have been misread, oversimplified, or even mocked because they appear to be operating as a force. It's as if you're wearing a mask and hope the universe accepts it, but truly embodying as if you're not acting, which is frequency conditioning. When you embody as if it were already yours, you align your physical being with your intended signal. Before the world gives permission, you aren't waiting for evidence, you are creating the proof. And by doing so, you send a clear, consistent message to the field. I am prepared. I've embodied this and reflected back. This isn't easy because your surrounds may still reflect the person you were. Your finances may still show a shortage. Your connections may still represent old dynamics. And yet, you are being required to operate on the new frequency, regardless of why. Because it is how energy is converted into matter, not by wading through identity. So, how do you practice this? Begin modestly. You do not need to transform your entire existence. You must change how you navigate, speak about yourself, carry your body, and react when something good happens. Do you totally embrace it, or do you have doubts about its authenticity? Each of these simple gestures communicates to the field what you believe you deserve. How would you start your day if you were already living in your best reality? What would you wear if no one could see? How would you breathe, feed yourself, move, express yourself? This is not about appearance, it's about having an energetic presence. Would you still reduce your energy in some environments? Would you still apologize for being authentic? Would you still ignore your inner wisdom to maintain peace? Or would you start picking like someone who is completely confident in themselves, as if they no longer need to attain the thing because they have already become the person who possesses it? You see, as you change your signal, everything connected starts adapting. That is why some refer to this as quantum change, because your decisions, no matter how minor, act like stones placed into a field, causing waves far beyond what you can see. So, rather than wondering when something will happen, consider how I would move today if I knew it already had. This is the point at which your acts become magnetic, rather than reactive. When your language, energy, and presence begin to match the world you've envisioned, you're no longer attempting to lure things towards you. You're simply embodying a version of yourself that is already harmonious. But here's what most people don't realize about the embodiment process. It is not about perseverance. It's about perseverance. Your neurological system has been executing the same programs for years, perhaps decades. It's at ease with limitations, knows how to struggle, and is used to not having enough. So, when you begin delivering a new signal, your body may initially oppose. This is not failure. This is recalibration. Think of it as tuning a radio. When you are between stations, you receive static. That static does not indicate that the clear station does not exist. It is confirmation that you are on your way to finding it. Your manifestation journey operates in the same way. Those moments of doubt, those days when old habits return, those moments when you notice yourself drifting back into scarcity, thinking it's all part of the tuning process. The secret is what I call frequency anchoring. Every time you discover yourself working on the old frequency, you have a choice. Instead of condemning yourself or being frustrated, you reroute. You want to know what the version of me who already possesses this is thinking right now. How would they feel? What would happen next? And then you make your decision, even if it's only for the next 5 minutes. These tiny redirections are highly effective because they teach your brain's circuits to default to the new frequency. Neuroscience demonstrates that our brains are continually rewiring themselves in response to our repeated thoughts and activities.
Zephyros sleep is continually rewiring themselves.
Every time you select the enhanced reaction over the conditioned one, you are creating new brain networks that support your desired reality, which is greater and shape of how is for villains and products and new expertise. Your heart produces an electromagnetic field that is 60 times stronger than your brain and can be detected several feet away. When your heart and brain are in sync, this field becomes extremely powerful. According to HeartMath Institute research, when you are in a state of heart coherence, or when your emotions are aligned with elevated thinking, you can influence the quantum field around you. You become what's known as a coherent emitter. This indicates you are not simply envisioning your desires, you are transmitting them across your entire electromagnetic system. And here's something spectacular. You'll see the field start to respond. People engage with you differently. Fresh insights emerge. Synchronicities appear, not because the cosmos suddenly chose you, but because your signal became strong enough to overcome the interference. Finally, you stopped spreading energy and began embodying. Currently, this is coherence. This is how manifestation really works, not by appealing, writing, or working harder, but by embodying the signal that your future self already sends. Indeed, the mind will want to interfere. It will say, "But we don't have that yet." It will question, "Aren't you concerned that you are being unrealistic? That is not your truth. That is your past, trying to keep your limitations." Allow it to talk, and then proceed. Because this is not about persuading people. It is about preparing your field to receive what your soul already knows. So, today, make one statement as if it's already done. Make one decision as if you are already there. Take one action as if it were already yours. Because the more you act as if it were already yours, the more the field accepts you. When the field accepts you, reality changes to meet your signal. There are times during your journey when everything appears to be paused. You've completed the internal work. You've stabilized your energy. You've stopped chasing. However, no significant modifications appear to have occurred. But something inside seems altered. Your thoughts have calmed. Your nervous system feels safer. You begin to notice little changes in how you react to life. And then it happens. A number form spontaneously repeats 3 numbers that appear to follow you over time. Locations, screens and clocks, receipts. It is 777. You might see it but dismiss it as a chance. However, a more sensitive part of you recognizes that it is not random. It's a conversation, a mild activation, and an energetic reflection. You didn't seek a sign, and that is precisely why it appeared. Because the field does not respond to desperation, it responds to harmony. And 777 only occurs when your field is deeply aligned, allowing the quantum to speak back. It does not indicate that your manifestation is approaching. It confirms that you have become an energetic match for what is already around you. That the energetic foundation you laid, sometimes consciously, sometimes via quiet presence, is now vibrating at the frequency of manifestation. In mystical teachings, the number 7 has divine value. It is tied to heavenly wisdom, knowledge gained intuitively, internal expertise. When it appears 3 times, it transcends basic numerology. It becomes an energetic hallmark of harmony. Not flawlessness, but rather alignment. It means that your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions are no longer contradicting each other. You are no longer seeking to produce reality from a body that does not believe it is worthy of receiving it. You are no longer envisioning with your mind, while your heart is expressing uncertainty. You have reached harmony, perhaps not perfectly, but consistently enough to alter your timeline in quantum comprehension. 7 appears. As the tide of potential approaches, collapse. You are still in the area of boundless potential, but your signal is directing reality toward a specific manifestation, the one you've been focusing on through your emotional consistency and personal change. The field recognized you not by language, but by frequency. And this number is not a prize. It is a harmonic echo. It does not grant you something, but rather reflects what you already embody. Now, I'd like to share something surprising about these synchronistic figures. They are not random events or coincidences. They are indications of what scientists refer to as morphic resonance, the belief that if you reach a certain level of coherence, you will begin to resonate with information fields that exist outside of regular space and time. When you observe 777 repeatedly, you are witnessing non-local correlation, as quantum physicists define it. Your consciousness has reached such a high level of alignment that you are practically entangled with the quantum information that correlates to your intended world. The number serves as a link between your present experience and the reality you are becoming. But here's where things get even more fascinating. The appearance of 777 is frequently associated with what I refer to as reality convergence points, which occur when several timelines or possibilities connect. In quantum mechanics, we know that all conceivable realities exists at the same time, known as the many worlds interpretation. When you see 777, you're nearing the point at which your consciousness will collapse into the timeline that corresponds to your sustained frequency. This is why the time immediately following these synchronicities is so essential. Many people notice the indications and then unconsciously lower their guard. They take the appearance of 777 as permission to discontinue the inner ladder, but it's actually an encouragement to sharpen your attention. You've reached the threshold. The wave is about to crash. This is when your devotion to keeping the frequency is most critical. In quantum physics, there is a phenomenon known as quantum tunneling, which allows particles to slip through energy barriers that classical physics states are impossible to overcome. When you see the numbers 777, you are experiencing consciousness tunneling. Your consciousness is crossing the boundary between your existing reality and your intended one. The idea is to stay in your vibrational state. Tunneling happens during this phase. You may sense some opposition from your surroundings. Old patterns may increase before dissolving. Unexpected challenges may arise. This is not how the universe tests you. The old reality system is restructuring itself to meet the new frequency you are embodying. It's similar to upgrading a house while you're still living there. There is temporary confusion, but it serves the purpose of the shift. And here is where most people ignore its importance. They perceive 777 as permission to relax, disengage, and declare it is taken care of. Now, however, this is not the time to take a step back. It's about establishing a stronger foundation. It serves as a doorway. And it is your obligation not to celebrate prematurely or return to inactivity. It is your obligation to maintain the signal. Stay with the flow. Allow the field to continue synchronizing with you without interruption. You've been informed that manifestations happen quickly, but nothing in the quantum realm occurs instantly. What feels urgent in the physical world was built gradually in the unseen. 777 represents the tipping point, the careful balance of intention and assurance, the space in which your reality no longer moves towards you, it's solidifying around you. However, 777 symbolizes more than just confirmation of alignment. It's also an invitation to deepen your present, to stop seeking and start embodying, to notice how your body feels right now, and ask yourself, is this how the version of me who lives that reality feels? Will they hurry? Will they question or trust the foundation growing beneath the surface? Because that is what this signifies, a fundamental shift. You are not manifesting a result. You're rewiring the foundation of who you are. How do you think, feel, move, speak, choose? The field is responding to that identification, and the number isn't anticipating what will happen. It validates what is present. And if you sense that not only intellectually but also energetically, that something within you recognizes this message as precisely timed, accurate, and authentic, then breathe and allow your system to absorb it. Allow your nervous system to feel safe in this validation. Allow your emotions to accept the reality that you are no longer aligned. You already are. That the transition is not approaching. It's reassuring to know that what you've imagined isn't just a pipe dream that must be fulfilled. It's a frequency you've finally reached. And if you want to make that resonance palpable, not only within yourself, but in the collective field of everyone reading this, then leave a comment below with 777. It's not magical, it's a statement, a soft mode of expression. I sense it. I remember. I'm in agreement. Numbers are sometimes just numbers, but they may also be a communication system, a reflection, a formula, or a truth you finally decided to embody. Perhaps no one told you this, but manifestation isn't the art of getting what you want. It's the ability to recall your actual nature and any frequency you've been striving to reach. Prosperity, tranquility, or connectedness is already present within that recollection. It is not something that exists outside of you and must be gained. It's inside you, ready to be stabilized. The reality is that you've been through it before. You had moments, flashes of alignment, moments when time seemed to stand still and you felt utterly at peace for no apparent reason. Moments when your heart opened unexpectedly, when perfect words appeared, when you made a decision that felt like it came from a deeper place. These were not coincidences. They were glimpses of the more constant self you are becoming, and a life that version of you inevitably generates. Quantum manifestation is not about driving those moments to happen more frequently. It's about improving your ability to stay in them, to make those states your foundation, and to become someone who doesn't need to envision because you're already resonating with what you visualized. And while you will not feel this shift right away, you will see it in the subtle ways that life begins to respond. A discourse that seems unusually amicable. A sensation of inner tranquility in the midst of exterior chaos. A decision taken without extensive consideration. These are indications that your signal is stabilized and that you are no longer reaching for the field. You've blended with it, transmitting on a frequency that no longer compromises your past. And this is important because the old persona will continue to talk. It will claim you are unprepared. Who do you believe you are? First, you'll need evidence. It will tempt you to return to your past. And each time you notice it, you'll have an option. Do I tell the old story again, or should I hold on to the new one for a little longer? This is where knowing the mechanics of identity transition is critical. Your identity is more than a collection of self-centered thoughts. It's an energetic framework that affects every cell in your body. When you've been using a limited identity for years, your entire biological system has adapted to that frequency. Your nervous system, endocrine system, and immune system have all been tuned to support the previous version of you. So, when you begin embracing a new identity, your body may initially rebel. You may encounter what psychologists refer to as upper limit difficulties, in which success or positive change feels unpleasant because it does not correspond to your historical fixed point. This is actually a positive indicator. It indicates that you are stretching beyond your comfort zone and forming new neural pathways. But here's the essential insight. You do not need to wait for your body to adjust to the new identity. In fact, if you wait for comfort, you may never change. Instead, you learn to be okay with being uncomfortable. You know that the transient discomfort is due to your nervous system's expansion, upgrading to support higher frequencies. This procedure can be accelerated via a technique known as identity bridging. Instead of attempting to jump from your existing identity to your desired one all at once, you construct intermediate identities to act as stepping stones. For example, suppose you are currently struggling financially, but want to embody abundance. In that case, you may start by embodying the identity of someone who is learning to receive wealth or becoming more financially savvy. This allows your nervous system to adjust gradually. Each bridge identity has unique ideas, feelings, and behaviors. You practice embodying these stepping stone identities until they come naturally. Then you go on to the next one. This reduces the shock to your system, which can induce self-sabotage and makes the transition feel more natural and sustainable. The remarkable aspect of this procedure is that it reflects how quantum particles act in quantum physics. Particles do not transition from one energy level to another in a straight line. They take quantum leaps through intermediate virtual states that live only briefly. Your consciousness transition occurs in the same way, via intermediate identity states that bridge the gap between who you have been and who you are becoming. That's where your genuine power lies. Now, not in how strongly you act or how rapidly you move, but in how consistently you can stay in the energy of already mind. Not to impress people, not to manipulate the situation, but because that is your true self now. You are not looking for confirmations. You are becoming one. You are not performing worthily. You are embodying it. And the universe does not need convincing. It simply reflects. This is what it means to truly manifest, not forcing the world to comply with your wants, but perfectly aligning your inner state so that the world reflects you in every detail. Not because you can govern matter, but because you've overcome opposition. You have clarified your signal. You've removed the barrier between your highest self and your current experience. When that occurs, something unexpected happens. Serenity. Not enthusiasm, not hurry, but tranquility. Since you understand you are no longer pursuing anything, you're allowing, you are getting, you're seeing your own energy return to you in the shape of connections, opportunities, understanding, and grace. This state of serenity is actually a potent manifestation accelerator that most people ignore when they are in a serene condition. Your brainwaves automatically change into what neuroscientists refer to as the Alpha-Theta bridge, a frequency range of 7 to 14 Hz, when your conscious and subconscious minds start to merge. In this state, your subconscious is highly susceptible to new programming. At the same time, your conscious mind becomes more sensitive to subtle signals from the quantum field. But serenity is not passive. It's an active mode of tolerating that necessitates enormous inner strength in a culture that associates effort with outcomes. Learning to manifest from serenity can seem contradictory. We've been conditioned to believe that we must push, strive, and force results. However, quantum manifestation operates under fundamentally distinct principles. Consider it like nurturing a garden. You plant the seeds, create the appropriate conditions, and then let nature do its thing. You do not dig up the seeds every day to monitor their progress. You don't strive to make them grow quicker. You believe in the process and work to keep the environment favorable for growth. Manifestation works similarly. You plant the energetic seed in your thoughts and emotions, maintain the frequency in your identity and actions, and then let the quantum field bring it to life. Miracles emerge naturally from this condition of allowing. When you are not fixated on results and are not urgently trying to control how and when things appear, you will enable the universe to provide in ways that exceed your expectations. Sometimes the reality that emerges is even greater than what you had hoped for, because you weren't limiting the field with your precise assumptions about how it should unfold. There is a wonderful paradox here. The less you need your manifestation to arrive, the faster it will occur. This is not because the cosmos is playing a game with you. It's because neediness is a frequency of scarcity, which contradicts the very thing you're attempting to generate. When you can carry your want gently with appreciation rather than desperation, you keep the frequency of already having it. There is no more profound shift than this. And the more you return to it, the more your neurological system understands that it is safe to exist. Here, not only did they frequent this frequency, but they also lived there. Make this alignment your natural state, not because life is perfect, but because your coherence is no longer dependent on external factors. You have integrated the field, you've learned to trust it, and it trusts you back. So, breathe right now. Allow yourself to really absorb all of this. Allow it to integrate into your system, not as new information, but as recalled wisdom. Feel your energy. Relax into the realization that you have already evolved. You aren't waiting for the quantum shift. You are the quantum shift. And if anything in this inquiry came at just the right time, allowing you to connect a piece that had previously been out of reach, then this is more than just content. It could be a mirror reflecting who you are becoming, a reminder that the frequency you've been imagining is not theoretical. It's not really that really does pressure, but it is a story or nuns or power. And if you notice yourself breathing differently while experiencing this, you've already entered it. We are not simply absorbing material here. We're practicing new realities. We aren't just absorbing, we're converting potential into shape. We aren't just studying, we are remembering. And I am grateful you are here. The deeper reality about why most individuals struggle with quantum manifestation, even when they comprehend the principles, is something that most lecturers seldom mention. When you master the observer effect, your world will instantaneously transform. In the following video, I explain how it works in detail.